I don't know how to describe it, but it just feels like reality sometimes.
You know, he definitely snaps into character. And literally the sweetest person in the world. But like when he's in it, he's in it.
And I just love the premise that he had is what if that that ideology and that extremism came back to haunt you.
They passed the vibe check.
Yes.
They passed the vibe check. And that's what make you even more proud. Like,
My
okay,
child comes from a whole line of revolutionaries. And you look so lost. What are you gonna do about this baby?
You know what freedom is? What? No fear. Go.
Both of you have worked with a lot of the great directors, but Leonardo, this is your first time working with Paul Thomas Anderson. What particular things about his way of working were kind of different to directors you've worked with in the past? What can you pinpoint about his approach, which is completely unique to him?
Well, he's a writer-director, and they create these worlds that, are sort of stuck in their brain. A lot of writer-directors, there's an inability to have a malleable sort of relationship with, but Paul is he's very open to new ideas, and you could throw a lot at him and he'll stick to one, and that could shape the course of the whole narrative structure of the movie. And his ability to have this incredible bullshit detector where he's looking for that raw moment, and his ability to within that character open new doors constantly. He's not stuck into his concept in that way. I think that it was easy in a lot of ways. It's really easy to work with Paul. He comes to you with a fully formed character, a fully formed world. It's almost, this is a political espionage thriller. It's holding a mirror up to society, but you feel like you know who these men are, that they exist in the world, that maybe the Christmas Adventures Club sort of exists, that there is a French 75 that exists out there. They're just really tactile, and it's not hard as an actor to kind of immerse yourself into that world because it's believable. But I just really love the fact that he's open. He's really open to suggestions, and you as an actor being able to take ownership of that character. It was a great experience working with Paul.
Yeah, and Benito, you have worked with him in the past on Inherent Vice. Was it quite similar this time around to your previous experience working with him? How did this one differ?
Well, when I did Inherent Vice, it was I basically had a monologue. I worked for 2 days, but this one was a little bit more involved, and there was a lot of movement. Everything I did, for the most part, was moving, but just adding something to what Leo was saying, he also creates this great atmosphere when you're working. He truly likes and enjoys the actor's process, and that's, for a writer-director, that's really special. And I think every actor, even the non-actors, I think enjoyed being on the set and working with Paul. He really enjoys, and he's always, when I was off camera and I was watching him standing behind the camera while the camera was on Leo, I could see Paul, and Paul was really enjoying it, and it's really, it creates a great atmosphere to take chances as an actor, because when you're acting, if you take chances, you want your director to be there to catch you if you fall, and he's there.
Yeah, and to add to what Benicio was saying, we were in an ecosystem of real people that had real military leaders, shop owners, nurses, corrections officers. He creates this ecosystem where you just kind of are able to exist, and I don't know how to describe it, but it just feels like reality sometimes, and that has a lot to do with his production design,
Exactly.
the sets that you're a part of, the real location. Some of these locations in this movie were just astounding. Places that I live in California, I've never been, never seen. Those rolling hills, the communities that live there, Northern California, the fact that that's where a lot of these revolutionaries did come from. It's in the culture there. You know, you just feed off of that. And it's the amount of thought that Paul puts into that sort of pre-production that just makes everything start to feel alive once you're on set.
You know, Chase, obviously for you, this being your first feature film, it must have been on some level quite a daunting prospect to kind of come into this, you know, incredible film with these incredible, talented people, including Paul Thomas Anderson as the director. How do you prepare for something like that when it is your first feature film? And I guess you've got nothing to compare it against.
I mean, the thing that I really wanted to do more than anything is just show up for myself and show up for Paul and for Leo and the rest of my cast and crew members, because it's not something that I took lightly, and I wanted to make sure that I did justice by Paul's story and his writing and by Willa. And the most that I did was trying not to get in my own head and get in my own way. Because I think that is something, at least for like me personally, is something that will hold me back. And I really wanted to let go and give myself the space and the ability to explore, especially with like somebody like PTA who gives you the entire world to explore.
Tiana, for you, obviously, you know, your character is such a kind of live wire in those early moments, early scenes. What kind of were your inspirations in terms of bringing her to life? Were there real people that you looked to as people who served as inspirations for her?
Yeah, I kind of feel like it was a full circle moment because one of my favorite books is Asada. And when me and Paul was discussing Perfidia, that was one of the books that was also on his table. So I was just like, oh, this is really dope, and I know exactly, you know, where I want to go and what direction I want to go in for Perfidia, you know, but also just like the strength of the woman in my life as well who's come before me, you know, because especially as a Black woman, you know, we are forced to be strong, and you see that strength in Perfidia. You also see Perfidia in survival mode, which I've been in a place of having to be in survival mode at a point in my life, you know. So it's also just a lot of personal similarities as well, you know. It was a lot of things I didn't agree with Perfidia, but it's also a lot of things that I do agree with Perfidia, and was able to play that from a place of experience.
And Regina, for you, were you interested in this idea of a character who, you know, 15 years after she was a revolutionary, is now kind of back in the fold and reflecting and perhaps in a different place? How did you, what did you find interesting about exploring that side of Deandra?
I mean, I think Deandra had a very selfless kind of, you know, perspective. I mean, I think she was definitely committed to the cause, to the people, to Perfidia, her best
good
friend.
ass friend.
Yeah, and then to the child Willa. So there was she was very sacrificial, and so it was very interesting to think of, you know, how to portray a character in a film that has so much going on, and then to figure out how are you a quiet character that still has a lot to say, just without the words to say it.
I want to talk a bit about Sean Penn's performance in this film, because I think he's playing one of the most kind of viscerally unpleasant characters I've seen in a film for quite some time, and it really comes across on screen how, you know, slimy and odious this character is. What was that like for you guys all to act opposite? Is there a moment where he just kind of snaps into character? What was it like to play off that?
No, he definitely snaps into character, and literally the sweetest person in the world. But like when he's in it, and I'm a reactor. So being able to have him as a scene partner only fueled me even more. You know what I'm saying? Because I know I'm like in good company, and the way he turns it on, you kind of like fall into it with him. You want to match that energy. He's so amazing, and I'm just like so lucky that I've got to like share, you know, scenes with him, and you know, and be in the same space as him.
What about you, Chase? What was it like for you to share scenes with him? Because again, you've got some great scenes with him.
Yeah, I mean, the scene that I share with Sean, especially towards the end, is one of my favorite scenes to do. And getting to do that with him, he's so intense and drops into character immediately, but then we'll like, the second you call cut, he's like, okay, like, well, we'll check in with you and then ask about like, I don't know, just personal things, and is a very kind person, but like the intensity that he brought to all of the scenes, and just watching him fine tune everything and just bring Lockjaw to life was it was really cool to see. And of course, he's amazing in the film, and just getting to watch it firsthand in front of me was a treat.
Yeah.
This idea of a character like Bob Ferguson, who, you know, was a revolutionary in his youth and he's lost his way, perhaps he's become complacent and paranoid, something bad's happened in his life and he's lost his way. Was that something you were interested to explore and wonder why that might be the case as people get older and they kind of lose their idealism and their sense of vigor? Was that something you were interested in?
Yeah, and how some of the best laid plans of revolutionaries seem to implode in on themselves. I mean, he based this on a lot of the activities of the Weathermen, late 1960s revolutionaries that were fighting imperialism, you know, the Vietnam War, civil rights, multicultural people that then had to sort of scatter like rats around the country and try to assimilate themselves and disappear into everyday society. But at a time and the place, you know, they were willing to risk their life for their ideology and belief system. And I just love the premise that he had is what if that you know, that ideology and that extremism came back to haunt you. And so you have this guy that's trying to raise a daughter, that's trying to live off the grid, that's trying to not be online and trying to relate to the next generation of a young girl that he's trying to protect, and isn't the best father, and all of a sudden he's at home alone, stoned, and his past comes back to haunt him. Those are the building blocks of the character for me. And once you have that kind of setup, I think along with Benicio's character, you know, who does he have to rely on? He's got his daughter's karate teacher, and there's helicopters flying above his small town, and they're up against all odds and forces that they can't fight against, and they're great flawed anti-heroes that he created in this movie that I think were just brilliantly written.
Yeah, and you say a karate teacher, a very wise karate teacher. I love the line about you know, freedom is living with no fear and all that kind of stuff. What was it you enjoyed about exploring Sensei as a character? What were some of the inspirations behind him for you, Benicio?
You know, I just you know, being, you know, most of it came from what Paul wrote, and you know, the idea of this guy that I think that one thing that I really found interesting about the character is the fact that the moment my character finds out that Bob was a luminary of some revolutionary of the French 75, that he was the rocket man, that there's this side of him that he's a fan. You know, my character is a fan, and then, you know, just that added this dimension of like of this loyalty that, you know, I sacrificed myself to allow Leo's character to get away and accomplish his journey. And I you know, that loyalty is and the same loyalty that he feels towards the migrants that he takes them to safety. You know, there's something about that character that's really like nice to play, and it's a juicy character. It doesn't matter the size, but it's a great character to like get your teeth in, you know.
It's interesting this is the first of Paul Thomas Anderson's films for quite some time to be set in contemporary times, and there's obviously, you know, analog, you know, to stuff that's going on in the real world in this film as well. It does seem on one level like a political film. Were there discussions about that on set, about the modern day relevance of the film and how people will react, how audiences will react to it?
I think we're
don't
just
think so.
yeah. I think like we're
making a
just
movie, yeah.
exactly.
I don't think Paul started writing this movie 20 years ago, so I don't think that
Exactly.
it was necessarily connected to the political relevancies of today. But boy, does it coincide.
Yeah, it's almost like if the shoe fit, you know, wear it, and it's actually and if it is very relevant to what's happening today, then that's something that they need to handle. You know what I'm saying? Why is this still relevant today? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we still going through this, and where is the change, especially if this, you know, especially considering the fact that this script has been written 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely think that this movie will create a lot of healthy dialogue and much needed conversations that need to be had.
And obviously, one of the other inspirations for the film was Thomas Pynchon's novel Vineland. I know it's a jumping off point rather than an adaptation. But did you guys find it useful to read the book? Did you read the book? How was that kind of relevant in your preparations for the film?
Honestly, I wanted to trust Paul's process, but I did loosely go down a rabbit hole of Vineland. But I didn't read the book.
It, yeah.
I didn't read the book.
I didn't read
but
it. The
definitely
truth is,
read
I
the
wasn't necessarily. It's not like I got that. We didn't get that from Paul.
Right.
Paul wasn't like, "Oh, this
Yeah.
is loosely based." That's. I think I read about that. And
Yeah,
it's
that's
like-
what I'm saying.
and
But
then
that's what made me go down the
first time
rabbit
I heard
hole.
it,
Yeah, because it wasn't ever through
Yeah.
him. It
Yeah.
was, early predictions
Yeah.
of, is he doing this? Is he doing that? I'm like, what is this violent thing? You know? So I kind of went down the rabbit hole. But that's just what I'm like a research head. So I just like, did the little synopsis and like reading into the characters and stuff like that. But no, I never got
Read the
that
book.
from
And I just want to finally ask about, obviously not too many people have seen the film so far, but everyone that does, it's had these kind of rave reactions. It seems to be really striking a chord. What's it been like to see those reactions so far and see people respond to the film that have seen it?
Been amazing. I mean, I think the premiere was that our first time seeing it with a whole crowd. That was your first
Yeah.
time too.
Monday.
Yeah, like our
Otherwise,
first
it was
time.
just like one or two people.
Exactly. So like seeing it with the whole crowd
days
was amazing 2 days ago, and then yesterday we sneaked in toward the end to catch that. So it's amazing to see people see what you see and they get it. Because of course when you're working on something, it's like, do you think people's gonna get it? Do you think people's gonna da 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 da? And it's like they pass the vibe check.
Yes.
They pass the vibe check, and that's what make you even more proud. Like, okay, they fucking get it. Every single comedic beat, every single emotional beat.
Or else we
everything
would have
bitches
realized
get.
we had a very large, dumb audience.
That's what I'm saying. They passed the vibe
One or
check.
the
It's
other.
like,
Yeah.
it was like, because if they didn't, you just plain dumb. But it makes you even more proud to know that they get it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because we put a lot of work into this magic with PTA, so it feels good. It's even extra amount of gratitude to know that people love it and see it the way you see it and hear it the way you hear it, and clap in certain areas where it's like, yes, that's like they just
Or
passed the vibe
different
check.
areas. It's so
Yeah.
nice
Yeah.
too, because everything resonates with everyone so differently
Yes.
and specifically. But that's interesting too, because that creates even more dialogue. The fact that I'm like,
Exactly.
ooh, I got that. I may have missed that, or that's
Exactly.
amazing. It's kind of amazing to hear how people feel about it
Yeah.
and what they respond to.
I love that people can't necessarily, like when you say, what is the movie about? People can't put it into words, but
Yeah.
people have so many questions about it. I love that because it means like you really watched the movie and you invested in what your eyes were seeing, and it's just like it's an honor for people to have so many questions about it. And I love the fact that like none of us can really put it into words. It's literally one hell of a ride, as you say, and I'm just excited for people to see it and, like you said, create that dialogue without putting this movie in a box.
Yes.
There's it's not enough words to describe what this movie is. Like if you said today, in 3 words, what do you think this movie, like it's not that. In 3 words,
Yeah.
with 4 words, just go see it. September 26th,